Welcome to Typevolution. In this video I'm sharing with you the propaganda I'm not falling for when it comes to personality type theories, especially MBTI, 16 personalities, with a dash of socionics. I have been teaching and coaching clients for several years now. I'm a self-taught personality typologist. I'm a personality and dating coach. You can find all my information on typologists.com if you want to know more about me and my content and my theories. Also, of course, you can just watch more of my YouTube videos. Now, I have already made videos about my most recent unpopular opinions when it comes to MBTI, when it comes to Enneagram. In order not to repeat myself too much, I'm gonna try to focus more on the things I did not mention in those videos yet. So this is in no particular order. The propaganda to improve your weaknesses, in this case, your weakest functions. If you know, the 16 personalities theory very generally has only 4 letters, but wants to become more involved in the theory, it often says that you should improve your inferior function. You can also just twist it and make it more general. The idea of improving your weaknesses is something you should do. And this is an idea that also circles around in some self-help circles. And I just fundamentally disagree with this idea. It does not really jive with what I deem to be the pinnacle of personal expression or personality type expression. Of course, we have to work on certain weaknesses in our human society. I'm not going to deny that. But if you want to be average, focus on your weaknesses. If you want to be exceptional, focus on your strengths. Especially when it comes to the Jungian personalities. You should focus on your strengths, on what your personality type is supposed to do, which I have described as my purpose roles for the types. Essentially, it is the first 2 functions and to some extent also what we call in sociolinguistics those demonstrative functions. And a lot of us will be either through society or through our even unconscious mechanisms be driven towards trying to improve our weaknesses because we often underestimate or undervalue our strengths because they come naturally to us. So oftentimes they are actually less interesting to us. But these are often the spheres of excellence that you will ignore if you're not careful. Okay, another one is only intelligent or open-minded people are so-called N types or intuitive types. I have made several videos about the subject already, but I think I have to repeat it once again. You can be open-minded, you can be intelligent, you can be creative, you can score as high on openness to experience on the Big 5, which is another personality type system I'm aware of, which is quite common or famous in the scientific community. But at the same time, you can be an S-type, sensing type. Your creativity can be with your sensing. It can be tactile, sensorial, auditory. There's so many ways how it can express itself. I don't have enough time to put it all in this video now, but I just wanted to repeat it. You can be open-minded. A lot of people who travel a lot, for example, are actually S-types. They are open-minded and closed-minded people of every Jungian type. In my opinion, openness to experience and the lack of it, there's a tie-in with neuroticism or just anxiety and things like that. Oftentimes, people who are more closed-minded are just more anxious. Or maybe they are less intelligent, I suppose, but not necessarily. It's more complex than it appears to be, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't really understand what sensing is, or don't really understand what intuition is. So I would advise you to check out my blog articles on this, my videos, so you really know what sensing is actually about. A lot of artists, a lot of musicians are very open-minded, very creative, very intelligent people, and they're sensing types. And also, not every sensing type is going to have sensing as their main or primary strength. It can either be feeling or thinking in other cases. For example, a lot of ISFP, ISTP people have sensing as a secondary strength, right, and have actually feeling or thinking as a primary one. So you have to be really aware of what you're dealing with here. Another one is you need to stick to one personality system only, or you cannot make any correlations, there's no overlaps, etc., etc. You have to be super puritanical with how you apply each system, etc., etc. So this is especially the case when it comes to socionics versus MBTI. It's like two camps and people are like battling each other out. I'm gonna use whichever system works, whichever system confirms my experience, my observations. And yes, if I see overlaps, I'm just gonna use those. If I see other things, I'm gonna implement those. So at least if you're very puritanical, I guess my content is not gonna work for you, because I tend to kind of go and overlap certain things here and there. I still think that at the bottom of it, at the foundation of it, my archetypes, whatever you want to call it, like the 16 types, right, are still inherently Jungian. But yeah, I'm still somewhat flexible with the systems. Having said that, I would also still say the very foundation of my approach is still socionics, just so you know. But I also take some liberties with it. Some things I do my own way. Yeah. On a similar vein, but a bit different, is just because a new system pops up doesn't mean it's valuable. I know humans, we are wired to get dopamine hits from new things, and we might think, oh, this is a new system, it must be better, it must be good. But unfortunately, in a lot of cases, it's not. It's just trying to reinvent the wheel. And if the wheel is already working, you don't need to reinvent it. If it works, don't try to fix it, because then it might break. On this note, I also want to make clear that there is not going to be one system that can explain the entirety of human behavior. Personally, I do think that Jungian, aka MBTI, 16 personality, socionics, and Enneagram cover the majority of human behavior when it comes to personality type differences. At the same time, though, there are other valuable systems you have to be aware of. For example, the attachment style theory, which is also rather popular in psychology circles. I also use that theory, by the way, when it comes to my clients. I don't really advertise it that much because I am not a psychologist per se, but I have learned a lot about it. It's like another tool in my arsenal, you could say. I've observed it with myself, etc. So there are so many other things, so many other supplemental theories you might have to apply to give the best advice or to be most accurate. So sometimes people try to explain certain things that are not really explained by Jungian personality, not really explained by Enneagram personality, but rather, let's say, attachment style. And then they might think, oh, let's say someone is quote unquote disconnected from their emotions, and they automatically think, oh, this must be a thinking type in the Jungian system. Whereas the truth might actually be that they can still be a feeling type, but they have a dismissive attachment style. And dismissive attachment is gonna disconnect you from your emotions. Feeling type is not just emotions, and I also made videos or articles about this. So you have to be careful, you have to be aware, but I know it can be very difficult if you're new, if you're not well versed and all this stuff. So, but I want to make it clear here. Every personality type combo in a romantic relationship can work, or every combo is going to be fine, just as long as you can communicate and etc., etc. The truth is, it's not true. Not every personality type combo is going to be doable or very happy or very fulfilling. There are levels of fulfillment and happiness and compatibility. I don't think you need to know about personality type theory to know this. It's just common sense that not every combo is gonna work well. Now, of course, if you're gonna be healthier, if you have communication and relationship skills, yes, okay, every relationship's gonna be better as a result of that. But there is a limit to how good it can be, how fulfilling it can be, and that ceiling will be based on your type compatibility, amongst other factors, of course. I'm just mentioning it here because we are a personality channel. Typing only solely based on facial features or body language, that doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Now, a caveat is, okay, if you are a very experienced personality typologist, if you have dealt with so many people over time, yes, you will notice certain patterns. But the problem with body language and with facial expressions can be is that they are universal things, universal expressions. Like, for example, when you raise your eyebrows, usually that signals surprise. So you have to be really careful with this. Also, people may act up their body language for the camera, as I'm doing here. I consciously try to act it up to be more communicative. I don't think it works. I think the average person cannot really do that. And also like micro expressions and things like that. Once again, I think it doesn't really work because a lot of these micro expressions and things like that, once again, are more universal behaviors. The one thing you might be able to use even as a layperson is what I've observed, the fact that extroverts usually are more animated. They are usually more animated at a baseline level without trying so hard. So usually they're more animated with their body language, with their facial expressions. It's like when you are playing a video game and the animation is on high, right? Especially the types who have strong extroverted feeling are going to have higher facial animation, right? Like ENFJ, ESFJ, and to some extent also ENFP and ESFP. These people tend to be the most animated. And on the flip side, introverts, the less so. They are going to be more stone-faced. They're going to have less expression, right? It's like this energy metabolism of introversion, extroversion, right? This is the very broad brush paint strokes here that I'm going to say here. But once again, there can be certain situations where people will play it up a bit for certain situations where an introvert might be able to fool you into believing that they're an extrovert just because they're an F-type. Especially IF types often are able to pass as extroverts in certain social situations if they want to do that. A lot of people are currently trying to type themselves with AI, and I understand why they would do that. Back in the day when I typed myself, obviously I didn't have AI at my disposal, but that's like over 10 years ago now that I did that. I probably would have done the same as well. But the problem with AI is there's several problems with it, at least at this point right now, with typing yourself. For example, one of the common issues is AI is looking for the general patterns, right? It's looking for the trends. It's trying to summarize most of the information it finds online. And the problem is, at least in my opinion, most people cannot type well. Like people who type on like personality database will just put in any type they think a fictional character or celebrity is. And this is basically the kind of information ChatGPT is using. If you want to be typed by those kinds of people, then okay, go ahead. You're gonna get all kinds of stereotypes. You're gonna get whatever these kinds of people would type other people as. I disagree with a lot of the MBTI stereotypes, by the way. A lot of them are misguided. With AI, what really matters is the kind of information you feed it. And unfortunately, I still think most of the information you find online is inaccurate when it comes to personality types. The other problem with AI is that, and this is the general problem you have when you type yourself by yourself alone, you cannot see the full picture. There's gonna be things about you you don't even realize that you're doing. There are gonna be unconscious processes, unconscious mistakes, unconscious ways of behavior. And you can only ask AI things that you are consciously aware of. You can only look at things that, oh, okay, you can only give prompts that you know about. Like you can only give things that you know about yourself. It's very much all in the conscious area. Unless you are gifted at personality type theory, most people are not. Unless you are gifted at it and you can learn it by yourself, then it's fine. But if you're not gifted at it, if you're not naturally very good at it, or you don't become very good at it, then there will always be this blind spot around your personality. Like it's anyone has a blind spot, but especially people who are not very good at the theory. So you will basically ask things, you will give information, you will give prompts that are just very much on the conscious surface level. And connected to the next point is most likely you're gonna get the kind of type you think you are or you want to be. This is a very, very common problem with self-typing in general. I don't think AI really can solve that, at least for the layperson. You will just go along with whatever feels good to you, whatever you aspire to be. And AI is also very much adapting to its user. It's very much adapting to your language, adapting to whatever you feed it. So it's gonna be like, if you're gonna say like, oh no, I think it's more like this or it's like that, and the AI is just gonna agree with you. Whereas a human typologist, a human coach is gonna go with you to the things that are between the lines. It's gonna, I mean, a good one. At least that's what I try, right? To read between the lines, to ask questions you would not ask yourself usually, and also challenge you a little bit. I don't give people the types they want to be. And I know maybe that's not the best business strategy, because there are times when people just don't really like fully agree with my typing, which is fine. But at the very least, I am saying what I really think. I'm just not going to agree with you, whereas AI tends to agree with you, especially when it comes to things like MBTI or Enneagram, where there's no objective scientific truth at the moment. So it's just very, very tricky. So that's why, yeah, of course you can try. If it helps you, fair enough, but I would not say it's the ultimate end all be all. And also at the end of the day, you will have to test your personality typing. You will have to make use of it. And how can you do that? Well, if you want to work with me, for example, you can go to my typevolution.com site, and on services, there's my current offers. At the moment, I offer typing and coaching. So type coaching based on who you are, and I basically guide you along your journey, expressing your personality type more, your strengths, and creating a life that you feel more fulfilled by. So if that intrigues you, just check out my site, and yeah, hope you have a good day. Bye.